I hope to look a lot less crazy by the end of this video, but there's no guarantees. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, I hope a lot of fun. We're going to be playing with INGLOT, which is a super underrated brand in my opinion, and it's really also partially my fault, because I never speak about them and I never give them enough time to shine on my channel. So today we're doing full-on INGLOT. We're going to play with gel liners, doodle-line, we're going to play with their eyeshadows, and it's been a hot minute since I've done an INGLOT look. So we are doing sort of like my take on the pastel trend. In a little bit I'm pretty much set with the pastels because I have a bunch from INGLOT. I have a little bit of an idea how I want today's look to turn out, but there's no guarantee that the end result will be very successful, so let's just, you know, take this journey together and see how this turns out. What I want to do is I want to put something like pinky purple to my crease, and I want to keep the eyes like very light, especially the eyeshadow, because I want to put a yellow liner. And we're going to make our yellow liner in a little bit, but for now let's apply a little bit of the eyeshadows. So I'm going to mix this pastel pink over here and this pastel sort of purpley shade. I'm just going to go back and forth a couple of times. Now for this next step I actually want to apply a matte eyeshadow onto my lids, which I really haven't done in a decade. And because I know that pastels just don't work too well if you apply them straight over primer, and I really want the yellow shade because I want to apply a pastel yellow on my lid to pop just a bit more, I'm going to use the oldest trick in the book. I'm going to apply a little bit of a concealer. This is a concealer that I have from Kiko that I actually don't use as a concealer because it's too dry, but it is perfect if you want to use it as a cream base for matte eyeshadows. So I'm just going to use my finger and apply a tiny layer of that, blend it into the purple. I am going to take this shade, which is a very pastel yellow. You can see how powdery it is when I put my brush in the pan, and that is quite normal for pastels. And I'm going to use a shader brush to just stamp that onto my lids. And it doesn't really have to do much, it just has to be a hint of color because that's what I'm going for anyway. And feathering that together with the purple. In my inner corner I actually want to put something that's a little bit more metallic and more reflective, so I am going to take this shade here, which is more like a pastel yellow metallic shade, and I'm just going to apply the tiniest bit right here into my inner corners, and it's going to give us just a little bit more of shine over there, which I think looks more flattering than just the flat matte. And by the way, can I say how much I love this brush? I bought this brush on Beauty Bay. It's from a brand I've never heard of before. It's called My Kit Co Pro. I've looked for shapes like this and like size like this. Look how tiny it is. This is the perfect brush for like inner corner and especially blending out on the lower lash line so you don't take the eyeshadow too low. Anyway, just a little. And because it's fluffy, you can just fluff things in. I really, really like it. Now I am going to just complete the lower lash line by applying the pastel purple shade we have in the outer corner, using this same brush on which I had the inner corner highlight. In my waterline I am going to apply this sort of lavender pastel purple shade. I'm going to take the tiniest bit of this purple over here, which is a bit more of a blue toned purple, to set my waterline. Where I applied that Kiko shade, I just wanted to first of all look a bit more matte, and second of all be more set, because otherwise it's definitely going to move around. And now I'm going to move everything a little bit around and we're going to make our yellow liner together. Alright you guys, this is pretty much as good as it gets. I have my eyeshadows right here that I'm going to use to create my liner. I have my INGLOT Doodle Line. I have my gel liner in the number 76, which is a white gel liner. I have two liner brushes so we can test things. I have my little spatula to take things out, and I have a little bit of 70% alcohol so we can sterilize everything before we use it. First things first, I'm going to spritz a little bit of ethanol on this little tissue paper and just clean off my little surface here. You can use whatever you want. This is actually the lid from one of those cylindrical glass containers where you keep spaghetti. I broke the cylindrical part and I kept this part because I thought it's perfect for mixing makeup. I'm going to also sterilize the spatula, and I think we are pretty much set to go. Yes. So for a reference, I'm actually going to use this NYX Vivid Brights liner. This is the shade Vivid Halo. It is a really gorgeous color. However, when you apply it as a liner, it looks really cracked, so I mostly use it to make little dots, because for that it works actually quite well and it doesn't look too bad. It is really beautiful. As you can see, it is the exact shade of pastel yellow. It's so beautiful. The only problem is that when you apply it on your eyes and you let it dry, it just looks really cracked. Now, the first thing you're probably wondering is, why am I not just foiling this eyeshadow? I think if I foil this eyeshadow, it's going to be a hot mess. But because we're experimenting, let's just do that and see how that works. So I'm going to put a drop of Duraline right here at the edge of the eyeshadow. If you want to use your Duraline straight into your eyeshadows, I suggest to just pick a corner where you want to put the Duraline, so that you know that this part of the eyeshadow is compromised. Not that it really makes eyeshadow that bad, but it may affect them a little bit. So if you're that worried about it, I would just suggest to have a little corner where you want to apply Duraline on your eyeshadows. Now, I suspect this is probably not going to look great, but let's give it a try, shall we? Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, as I suspect. The problem with foiling eyeshadows like this is they just don't have enough body to them. They don't have enough like base pigment punch. So they end up looking really sheer, which you can also see very well here. The color is really nice. It's a beautiful pastel yellow, but it just lacks any sort of depth because it just doesn't have enough pigment to it, which is why I think we need to include the gel eyeliner. Now, I don't want to mix this with the white gel liner because I think what I'm going to basically achieve is a white eyeliner, so I have to go for something that is a little bit deeper in tone. Truth be told, I don't really know how much deeper in tone I have to go, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shade, and should it turn out to be too light still when I mix it in with the white gel liner, I can always resort to this rainbow shade over here and grab one of the deeper yellows to just mix in a little bit more. But this is an experiment I've wanted to do ever since I bought this white gel liner 10 years ago. I never did, so let's do it. I'm going to scoop out a little bit of this white gel liner and just put it onto my mixing surface. I don't know how much I'm going to need, so for now I'm just going to take this much. Next, I'm going to scoop out a little bit of that eyeshadow. This is a bit of a savage approach. If it bothers you too much and you don't want to do this to your eyeshadows, then I suggest you find yourself a loose matte yellow. But personally, I have quite a few yellows and I don't use all of them so often as to be that worried about damaging one a little bit. And INGLOT eyeshadows are massive, so I'm really not worried about that. Once again, I'm going to pick a little corner and just scoop the eyeshadow from that corner, like this. And then I'm going to just scoop it right here next to the white pigment, like this. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to need. I don't even know if this experiment is remotely going to be successful, but like I said, today we're playing and experimenting. As you can see, the eyeshadow looks a little bit damaged, but it's really not that bad. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is just apply a generous amount of Duraline and start mixing and see what happens. Honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen. I hope something magical, but who knows. maybe nothing magical will happen and I'm going to regret this. I'm just continuing to mix here. Okay, so it seems like we achieved something. I feel like I want to add just a little bit more eyeshadow, so I'm going to scoop a tiny bit more of that yellow and put it in here. I think maybe I put too much of the gel liner. I could have gone with much less. And once again, I'm going to mix. This looks pretty homogeneous to me, so I think what I'm going to do is just grab my liner brush and give this a try, just to see how it applies. Okay, oh, you can now nicely see how cracked this looks. Ooh, pretty. This is nice. Is it going to be the perfect yellow liner? Probably not, because it has still a lot of white base to it. What I want to do is still make this a little bit deeper, because now it's too much like the color of the eyeshadow that I applied, and I'm afraid there isn't going to be enough contrast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scoop a little bit of this deeper yellow out and add that to our mix. And now let's grab a brush. I'm going to scoop out a little bit of what's left on my spatula, and let's try this. Ooh, this is nice. This looks even a little bit deeper. This looks just a tiny bit deeper than this, but maybe it's enough to be what I wanted it to be. So now I'm going to switch you guys back and we're going to do the liner together. Well, hello again. I'm going to take a little liner brush and I'm going to try to be quick because I don't want our mixture here to dry out. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit and start building up our yellow liner and see how that goes. Whoa! Okay. You know what, as I was doing this whole exercise with mixing things, I thought this is something that's totally something Meg would do. You should go check out Meg, she's so much fun. And this kind of video is definitely something that she would do. I don't want to also make the mistake of putting too much layers, because then it's going to start looking really cracked. So I'm trying to fill in spots that I feel are a little bit uneven and just not try to perfect it too much. Now, since I have a crap ton left, I'm going to take a bit more and just put two playful dots right here under my brow. Like this. We could also use whatever is left here to make ourselves a bit of a yellow mascara for the lower lash line. So I'm just going to paint my lashes yellow as well, because why not? Okay, let me give you a little bit of a close-up of the whole look and how the liner turned out. All in all, not too bad. And here is the full face shot of the whole pastel look that we achieved today. A couple of my final thoughts. Did I achieve a dramatically different result compared to what I would have achieved with the NYX Vivid Brights liners? That's up for debate. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think this is still slightly more vibrant because of how much control I can have over the pigments that I put in and the opacity. Does it really look much less cracked? Probably not, but that is a fault that all pastel liners are all going to have. If you want them to be opaque and if you want them to really show up, they're going to have a lot of white, and if they have a lot of white, they're going to crack. That's just the reality of things. So all in all, did I really have to go through this whole exercise? Not really. Was it much more fun? Hell yes. This was so much more fun. And also, you have to go out and buy each of these in a different color if you want to have a pastel liner or a colorful liner, you know, in any other color. However, if you want to have the freedom to create any shade of liner and to have control over the pigments and the opacity and the tones, like the specific, how deep you want the eyeliner to be or how pastel and all of that, then all you need is a little bit of Duraline and a little bit of that white gel liner. I think that's just so much more fun and it gives you so much more freedom. Now, of course, it's not something you can do on the regular every day, which is also why I think this is a much more practical approach to the situation than buying a bunch of these, because a bunch of these will still set you back quite some bucks. And if you're going to only use them once in a while and they will dry out on you, it's also not the most practical investment of your money. So I actually think if you enjoy doing stuff like this on occasion, just go for something that has a white base. It doesn't even have to be a white gel liner, it could also be a white matte liquid lipstick or something. Just get creative. That's pretty much all I can say. This was really fun. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I certainly did. I'm definitely going to continue trying to mix the white gel liner with a bunch of other things. I can't wait to mix myself a little bit of pastel blue and a little bit of purple and green, of course, like a whole bunch of different greens, like a beautiful mint green liner. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to see more of me, and I will see you next time. Bye!